Yes, Cape Town on the southern tip of Africa is the extreme example of a water crisis. But the planet is peppered with places enduring real water stress, all of them afraid of turning into the next Cape Town. So our question is, who's getting it right? Well, let's look at solutions coming from a place with its own problem. Right here is the city-state of Singapore, population around 5.5 million. It's technically an island, but its fresh water has traditionally come almost exclusively from a reservoir in Malaysia, way up here. Between drought and the politics of a mercurial neighbor, which uses control of that reservoir as leverage, Singapore has had to get smarter to survive. From the moment it was established back in 1959, Singapore knew it had a problem, had to start rationing water. Its rivers were too filthy to be useful. Cleaning them up was smart, but not enough. So it's had to turn to technology and to a shift in thinking.
That is what Singapore does differently, that it has made water a topic of conversation of people.
Singaporeans have been taught for decades that water has value and wasting it isn't acceptable. There's now daily monitoring of usage and apps to warn when it gets too high.
You too can save water at home by installing thimbles in taps and shower heads.
There are gadgets galore and a complex pricing system. On average, Singaporeans use 143 litres per person per day. Keep in mind, a Canadian uses 250 litres per person per day. In July, the cost is going up. Singaporeans will pay roughly $50 a month per household on usage alone. On top of that, they'll pay a water conservation tax, a tax on the number of toilets they have, and a tax to pay to clean the used water. That last part may sound strange, but think of it this way. Singapore considers its water rented to its citizens. Every single drop that goes down any drain is reused.
When the water goes down the drain, it goes to treatment plants. 100% of it is treated to very high water quality, and then it is distributed to all the users. Same quality, same amount. That's a big difference in Singapore compared to many developed and developing cities in the world.
The official term for that treated old water is new water. And the plan is for new water to meet 55% of Singapore's demand by 2060. There's a huge investment to make that happen. A deep tunnel sewage system 60 meters below ground, 8,000 kilometers of drains feeding into reservoirs to try to collect all the rainwater. It also invested in desalination plants, but they're proving too expensive and too energy intensive. So there's a bold new plan. Invent a membrane that copies what happens in nature.
What Singapore is working on already for years is on developing membranes so they can treat water using less energy and water that has different levels of salinity.
Singapore has gone from a place of need to one positioning itself as the Silicon Valley of water. It's exporting its technology, drawing investment. It's even starting to boost the amount of treated water it sends back to Malaysia.